Welcome to the Stardom Fantasy Football Podcast. I am your host, Stefen McKinney, joined as always by Jacob Stevens and Ashton Mitchell. How's it going tonight, guys? It's a late podcast for us for the middle of halftime for the Thursday night game. How you guys doing? How are you enjoying this big primetime Thursday night game?
It's exhilarating, man. Just watching these two 0-3 teams really power through it with all their backups in. It's something to behold for sure.
It's everything I knew it would be.
You guys thought the Chiefs-Ravens Monday night game was a heavyweight battle. Wait till you see the Broncos-Jets Thursday night game. But, guys, we have a little bit of news. We got 2 listener lineup questions on the dock. We got some ins and outs. We have a lot of injuries to go through. We have the second half of matchups, and then we have our starts and sits of the week. We talked about it in last week's episode, but I really am interested in going back to some of these starts and sits that we've said in the last couple episodes and seeing how they.
We have
out.
to.
I think we've had some good hits and we've had a couple misses here and there as well. But
Cooper Cup. Whoops.
But overall, I think we're doing pretty well. But let's start with the news.
News and notes.
Biggest news here is the Steelers and Titans game, which is supposed to be one of the 1 o'clocks for this Sunday, has been postponed due to some positive COVID tests on the Titans side. Look, I mean, I think we kind of expected, some things like this to happen throughout the season, whether it be individual players missing time due to COVID or actual games being postponed or rescheduled to different dates based on COVID. And this seems to be our first instance of it. We're not sure as to when this game will be rescheduled for. There was some speculation that it might be still this week, but it seems like that is now gone and it's going to be postponed to a new week. Therefore, if you have any Steelers or Titans players, they need to be treated as bye-week players and should not be in your lineup. So make sure before you set your lineups for the week that all your Steelers and Titans are out of your lineup. But guys, let's jump into some listener lineup questions. We have some guys in here that are making repeat appearances from other weeks. So it seems like these guys carry some uncertainty to them. Let's start with the first one. This is a half-point PPR league, and they're deciding between either Mike Davis against the Arizona Cardinals or David Montgomery against the Colts. Ashton, I'll let you start us off here. Who do you prefer in this matchup? Who would you start?
Just off the eye exam there, I'm probably going to lean towards Mike Davis. I just think he's surprisingly explosive, good with his hands. He's kind of everything the Carolina Panthers need to fill the void of a missing CMC. So I'm leaning towards Mike on this one. I mean, I think David Montgomery's kind of sneaking up there as a consistent player, more than I was anticipating, but Mike Davis looks to be the one I would lean towards.
Does the Tariq Cohen, does that change anything for you for David Montgomery since he's out for the year?
Me? No. I mean, yeah, David Montgomery's going to pick up a little bit more, but I'm not.
He's got a worse matchup for sure.
Yeah, the Colts defense just scares me. I mean, they're pretty solid, and I like Arizona's defense, but I think if I had to choose the lesser of two, I'd pick Arizona to face.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with you and go with Mike Davis there as well for the same reasons you just said.
Yeah, I actually have this exact scenario in a league that I'm in. I'm in a half-point league with Mike Davis and David Montgomery, choosing between the two of my flex. And while David Montgomery's actually been surprisingly, he's been overperforming in my mind compared to what he did last year. But I like what Mike Davis has done so far with the opportunity he's been given now that CMC is missing some time. So I'm rolling out with Mike Davis just based on the matchup.
You can hardly tell that CMC is gone with Mike Davis there.
Oh, yeah. Basically identical, yeah. The next question we have is this is actually a standard scoring league. Same team as Mike Davis, but we have DJ Moore against that Cardinals defense or Tyler Boyd against Jacksonville defense.
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to probably say I lean towards Tyler Boyd a little bit more on this one. It's a very close call. They both have 26 targets for the year. Tyler Boyd leads with receptions, 21 over DJ Moore's 20 or 14 receptions. DJ Moore has 239 yards. Tyler Boyd only has 230, but Tyler Boyd also has the touchdown. I think DJ Moore is the superior athlete, but I need to see more from Moore before I start him.
Whoa.
So I'm just with AJ Green underperforming like I knew he would this year, and Joe Burrow just tossing the ball every chance he gets. I'm looking at more opportunity coming towards Tyler Boyd, so I'm gonna lean towards him.
What do you think, Stefen? I know what you think. Tell everyone.
Yeah, I'm gonna take DJ Moore in this matchup. I think he has the harder actual matchup. I think he'll see a lot of Patrick Peterson this week. But I just think he's a much better wide receiver than Tyler Boyd. Not knocking Tyler Boyd. I think he's a pretty good receiver for the NFL. But DJ Moore is a very, very good wide receiver. And honestly, I was talking to the guys about this before the show, but I don't think Tyler Boyd's the number one in this offense. I mean, he's been putting the numbers up to be the number one in this offense currently, but I still think this is AJ Green's offense in terms of the top wide receiver there. And Joe Burrow is trying to get AJ Green the ball. They just haven't found that connection quite yet. Tyler Boyd's made the most of his opportunities to start the year. But I expect AJ Green to continue to kind of build that rapport with Joe Burrow and to kind of step up as the number one as the season goes along.
Yeah, I think I'm with Tyler Boyd here as well, just because coming out of camp, Joe Burrow really favored Tyler Boyd, and yeah, he's trying to get AJ Green the ball, but I am very, very close to either cutting AJ Green or just sending him to the bench for timeout because he has just been so not good. I think I don't know if it's him. Obviously, he hasn't played the full season in a while. Maybe he's knocking off some rust without having preseason, but he's a little bit older, and the connection just doesn't. He's trying to get him the targets, but it's just not good targets right now. So I think I'd go with Tyler Boyd. I don't think that DJ Moore's going to be bad the rest of the season, but in a standard league, I think touchdowns are more important. And DJ Moore has never really been a high touchdown kind of guy, so I think Tyler Boyd's gonna do better.
Fair enough. All right. Well, that wraps up for the listener line of questions this week. Again, as always, if you do have any listener line of questions, make sure to send them into us on any of our socials, and we'll make sure to include them on next week's episode or respond directly back to you. But let's go ahead and jump right into the ins and outs, guys. There's a ton of injuries, and I'm sure we probably missed a couple more here. But let's jump right into it. Let's try to get through them quick because we do have a lot. We'll start off with the wide receivers. What about Julio Jones? You expect him to be in or out this week?
Julio is questionable with a hammy. He missed last week, but I think he's going to find the strength inside to make the start this week.
Devontae Adams.
This one's tough. LaFleur said it's not like, okay, just because we have a bye week next week, that has nothing that factors into Devontae Adams having an extra week off. And Lazard, which is further down this list, he is officially out. He just had core surgery today. So I think that might even be a little bit more of incentive to get Adams back in. So I think he's going to be in. But it's going to be a game time decision, so just stay on the news.
Yep. Michael Thomas.
I can't believe I'm saying this. He is still questionable, but he's practiced, and he's back from his high ankle sprain just with 2 weeks off. He's a wild man and a tremendous athlete. So I think he's going to be in.
DeAndre Hopkins, who just showed up on the injury report today, I think.
Yeah, this one was weird. I think it was yesterday because he missed practice, but he missed practice again today. I mean, you see last week's game that didn't seem to be there was any sort of issue. My gut is he's going to be in, and maybe he's just like maybe letting some swelling go down or something like that. But I would that one's pretty iffy as well. Might come down to game time.
What about Chris Godwin?
Chris Godwin's definitely out this week. His hamstring has fallen off, and it does not feel well, so he will be out this week, and maybe an extra week. Hopefully not, but definitely out this week.
It's pretty crazy. I mean, these 5 guys we've talked about to start these injuries, like these are probably
Top 5 picks.
yeah, these are probably the top 5 wide
receivers.
receivers taken. If I mean, Chris Godwin might be 6 or 7, but those first 4 are definitely the first 4 taken in all drafts. So it's tough being one of those owners right now. What about Alshon Jeffrey? Is there any possibility he comes back this week?
This wild man has been limited. He was limited on Wednesday, right? He sat out today, so it's a little iffy too. He's coming back. They thought it was going to be a lot later, but it's looking like it's going to be a game time decision. So I wouldn't start him though, even if he is back. I wouldn't start him just yet.
Philly
Would
needs
you?
some wide receivers. I don't know.
They do.
What
Would you
about
start him in
DJ?
your lineup?
Depends on what you got. What about DJ Chark?
DJ Chark almost played last week. It came down to the wire. It was a short week. He's been limited this week. He's got a chest and back injury. Apparently, he took a hard fall, but I'm expecting him to be back in this week for a delicious matchup.
Let's go to John Brown. We already talked about Lazard. How about John Brown?
John Brown was back at practice today, and apparently he's feeling a lot better. I think he's going to be in, but just like with he's questionable right now. So just stay on top of the news.
Okay. Henry Ruggs.
Henry Ruggs is pretty much out. John Gruden has said that he would be a long shot, one of the longest shots ever to play this week. And he needs that hammy. He's so fast that he needs both hammies to be able to control his body. So if he doesn't, one will probably just fall right off as well. So I would say he's out this week.
Yeah, and I don't know if you'd start him in your lineups, but Brian Edwards should be out as well.
Yeah.
Expect a huge Darren Waller game.
Hunter Renfrow too. I told you not to sleep on that guy, and he had a sweet touchdown last week.
If you need a wide receiver, maybe Renfrow is the way to go. Russell Gage. Just gonna take a sip of water.
Sorry. I wasn't looking at the right list. He's not on mine. But he's coming out of concussion protocol, so he has to make it through concussion protocols before he can play. If he does play, I mean, if Julio's in, I'd fade him a bit. But if Julio is out, he could probably be a little bit higher as long as his head doesn't fall off.
That's fair. All right, let's jump into a couple of running backs here. What about Kareem Hunt? He's been off to a great start. You guys expect Kareem Hunt to play?
I do. You still want to keep an eye on him. He's still dealing with a groin injury. It's not considered to be too serious, but I would just keep watching the news on him this week.
What about Leonard Fournette?
He is dealing with an ankle injury. He has not practiced, did not practice today. So keep an eye on him, but he could potentially be out.
Okay. Cam Akers.
Cam Akers is trying to get through a rib injury. He did not practice today and is most likely out for week 4.
Raheem Mostert.
He's got the knee injury going on. Didn't practice today. Doesn't look good for week 4 as well. Okay. This is going to be a long season.
Oh, my gosh.
We're going to be dealing with players that we have never heard before.
Yeah. I mean, we're seeing it tonight in this Thursday night game. I mean, the starting quarterback, I didn't know who he was until a couple hours before the game.
It's going to be week 7, and we're just going to focus on one episode solely dealing with injuries.
Chris Carson.
He has a knee injury. He was limited at practice today, so I'd put him in as a 50-50 shot to play.
All right, a couple tight ends here. Jared Cook.
He has a groin injury. No practice Thursday. Keep an eye on him as well.
George Kittle. Everybody's wanting him back. Is he back?
He says he's ready to let it loose. So he had a full practice Wednesday and Thursday.
Yeah,
so expect him to be ready game time.
The George Kittle owners are happy to hear that. What about Jimmy G? Got throwing in the ball. Is he going to be there?
Still not practicing, dealing with the ankle injury. I would not be surprised if he sat out this week.
Expect to see some Nick Mullins. Okay.
Yep.
Well, that is all for the ins and outs. There are probably
that's all.
There's
Goodness.
some that we missed. I'm sure you guys have somebody in your lineup that we probably missed here. That's probably on some injury report. But those are the guys who are most likely relevant to your lineups. Let's jump ahead and get into the second half of our Week 4 matchups. We did the first half on Tuesday's episode, so if we don't get to your matchup, it's probably on Tuesday's episode. Make sure to go ahead and check that out. But let's jump right into the first one. We got the Arizona Cardinals visiting the Carolina Panthers. Let's talk about some guys that, maybe are on your bench, maybe some waiver pickups, and see what you guys think about them. So we have a banged-up DeAndre Hopkins, apparently. Are you guys considering maybe a Christian Kirk or Larry Fitzgerald here?
I mean, Christian Kirk would be a little bit higher, but he's done pretty much nothing this year. Like I said, I kind of expect Hopkins to be in, but if he's out, I would definitely say it raises Kirk's. But he's probably on waivers right now. A lot of people have given up on him, and I can't blame them. But how do you guys feel like Kyler Murray is going to have a bounce back week after last week's 3-pick day?
Yes.
Yeah,
and I think they're gonna they're gonna use their legs more this game. I mean, I'm looking.
That's what everyone's doing.
Yeah. So, well, with no options here, I mean.
Yeah, if you have Kyler, Kenyon Drake, or DeAndre Hopkins, you're starting them with full confidence against Carolina. They've just been terrible. You shouldn't have any worries about them unless something comes up with this Hopkins injury. You should just be.
Listen to this though. The Carolina Panthers have out the third least amount of points to the QB position. How does that make you feel?
That's because they give up so many points to the running back position. It's like,
but hey, but that affects
points.
it. That affects the game script. How does that make you feel?
Kyler, you put too much draft capital on him. He has too high of a floor with his rushing ability to ever really sit, I think, unless it's an absolutely terrible matchup or there's injury concerns.
I'm just messing around.
On the Carolina side of the ball, we talked a little bit about Mike Davis and the listener questions. What's y'all's outlook on Mike Davis? And what do y'all consider him for this week against Arizona? Is he a running back 3, possibly a low-end running back 2? Where do you guys have him?
I have him as a low-end running back 2 for sure, if not a flex position. So, I mean, this is all roster dependent who you have on your team already. But like I said before, I think he's an awesome fill-in for Christian McCaffrey in that offense. They're using him the right way. He's performing well. He's going to get the volume. If you have him, you're most likely starting him.
Yeah, I like Mike Davis this week. Last week, I think he had 8 catches. Does that sound right?
I'm going to look it up for you as you continue.
Yeah, he did. He had 8 catches and a touchdown. Wasn't super efficient on the ground, but he still had 13 carries. So 21 touches total. I think he could flirt with the lower end RB2 this week. He finished with 15 points last week, so I think that's kind of his floor for this week.
Yeah, you're happy with that for sure. I mean, a guy who's getting 21 touches. I mean, you gotta play someone like that. That's really good volume. But what about on the wide receiver options here? We talked about it that on the Arizona side they have Patrick Peterson. I don't know if he's going to shadow DJ Moore, possibly even Robbie Anderson with some of the deep threats that Robbie possesses. Who's more intriguing to you out of the two? It seems like Roby's got off to the hotter start and has that connection with Bridgewater. But are you guys still considering, DJ Moore to be the number 1 wide receiver here?
This one's tough. I think Robbie Anderson's definitely performed higher than everyone's expectations. But I mean, because Teddy Bridgewater is throwing the deep ball and getting him involved. So I don't know, man. Honestly, I think they're both decent plays, but I'd probably go with Moore just because we've seen more out of Moore in the past.
Yeah, DJ probably has the bigger game this week. I mean, unless Roby can break free and Teddy can get on the ball on a deep pass. But aside from that, I'm probably leaning towards Moore.
Yeah, I mean it's tough just because of the name value, right? Like at the start of every season, you're going with people just based on their names. That's really hard to kind of move away from as the season progresses and as we see them kind of play out. But Robbie Anderson has been really, really impressive to start the season. He has 2 games with over 100+ yards. I mean, his worst game is 5 catches, 55 yards last week against a really tough Chargers secondary. So it's hard to sit Robbie Anderson if you have him. But for me, I think I still got to ride the name value and the talent with DJ Moore. I still think I have a little bit more faith in DJ Moore's abilities. So I'd probably rank DJ Moore ahead of Irby this week. But hey, we'll have to see how Irby continues to progress with his offense.
I've got something for you.
Sure.
DJ Moore is currently ranked as the wide receiver 31 on the year. Where do you think Robbie Anderson is?
Well, it's kind of cheating because I have it up, but
Ashton.
I'll let Ashton answer.
I don't know. I don't know. Where is he?
12. He is a wide receiver 1 on the season.
Well, he's 10.5 point. I don't know if you're looking
Oh,
at
wait.
Yeah.
He's 10.
Yeah,
He's a
that's
wide
pretty-
receiver 1.5 point.
Pretty,
I think that's
well.
pretty crazy.
Yeah, DJ Moore's 29
29
and
and a half point.
Hmm.
That's what I'm saying. If you have Robbie Anderson, like it's hard to sit him right now with what he's doing. So it's tough. But let's jump into the second matchup here. We have the Colts visiting the undefeated Chicago Bears, which is a surprise considering they went ahead and made the change at QB. So we'll start on that side of the ball. Nick Foles is now the starting quarterback. I guess we start with the question: Is Nick Foles a streamer at all? Is he considered someone that you should possibly look at picking up, or is he has to be the right matchup in order for you to even consider him?
I think it'd have to be the matchup for me. The Colts defense has been pretty solid this year.
Yep.
Had a couple pick sixes last week, obviously against the Jets. So that doesn't really say much, but their defense has been pretty good as a whole. I think Foles would definitely be a matchup based, but I do think he raises Allen Robinson and Anthony Miller, just kind of the receiving options.
And Jimmy Graham.
Yeah, and Jimmy Grandpa. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at on Folesy boy.
So do you consider Foles an upgrade on Mitch?
Over Mitch?
For fantasy,
Yeah.
fantasy
Okay.
for himself, I don't know how much he's going to score because he does just sling it, but he has no rushing floor pretty much, and Mitch kind of did, I guess. So I don't think it'd be like a huge change, but he'll probably help out the receiving core there.
Okay, so let's get to that receiving core. What is y'all's outlook on Allen Robinson, Anthony Miller, and Jimmy Graham?
Go ahead, Ashton.
I mean, it's. I think they're in better hands now with Nick Foles in there. I think Nick Foles came in last week and just his confidence, you could tell, was just growing. I really do think that this is a much better play for Jimmy Graham. I know that I'm kind of going out on a stretch here, but he keeps looking at Jimmy, and Jimmy's gotten 2 touchdowns out of – I think he has 3 touchdowns for the year. 1 in the first game, nothing in week 2, and then 2 last week.
Yep.
So, I mean, he's a value target for Nick Foles, and Nick Foles likes throwing to him. So, and I think this is just going to increase for all the receivers out there. So I think their passing offense has taken it up a notch and will continue to get better with Nick Foles at the helm. But we'll see. We'll have to see how this week unfolds. They have a tough matchup against the Colts, like Jacob said.
Yep. Yeah, for me, I think Jimmy Graham, his performance so far, I think is a mirage. I want to go chase it. He was almost my sit of the week this week.
Wow.
He was almost my start of the week.
His big game was last week with the 6 catches, 60 yards, and 2 touchdowns. But he was going against the Atlanta secondary, who has just been destroyed by everybody. Now that they're playing a really tough matchup, I don't think that Jimmy Graham is still the Jimmy Graham of old. So for me, I think it's all a mirage, and he'll get a touchdown every now and again, but he's not going to get a lot of yards, not going to get a lot of receptions. He's not someone who I'm looking to pick up.
I think he's a top 10 tight end this week.
No, definitely not.
catches a
Definitely not.
touchdown.
No, I don't think he gets a touchdown either.
I think you got to consider him as a red zone threat.
Well, sure, he's a red
Stefan.
zone threat, but I still think you look at Allen Robinson before you look at Jimmy Graham. And if you're going for the big playability, you have Anthony Miller. He made a great catch last weekend for the long touchdown from Nick Foles. So I think he's looking at both those guys before he considers Jimmy Graham. But what is your outlook on Allen Robinson this week? I'm going to talk about him a little bit later. But what do y'all think about Allen Robinson? He had a great game last week, just as you predicted, Jacob. So, what's your outlook on Allen Robinson?
I think he's going to be just fine. And we saw Foles go to him a lot when he came in, which got me very excited. He did have another deep pass that actually ended up being an interception, but it was like a jump ball in the end zone. And for a second, they called it a touchdown, and I was very, very happy about that. And then they turned it around, and it was an interception. But I'm not really worried about Allen Robinson. I am worried about T.Y. Hilton on the other end. That is very scary, and he's on the same road as old A.J. Green.
Yeah, I think he'll have a great opportunity to put up some numbers here. I mean, he almost had 2 touchdowns last week, but he had one stolen from him at the end zone that he wasn't able to reel in. But he had over 100 yards this week. I mean, if he can continue to put up those numbers and targets, I think he'll be fine.
All right. Let's jump over to the Colts side of the ball here. Phillip Rivers, like you said, has just not been able to get it going with T.Y. yet. We got Michael Pittman now banged up. So, I mean, it's getting thin outside of T.Y.
I think Pittman's out this week, right?
Right, yeah. So
Pittman's
Pittman
out.
banged
Paris
up.
Campbell's gone.
Yeah, I mean, there just doesn't seem to be a lot more options left here. They should be getting Jack Doyle back this week, so maybe he gets some of those receptions. But, I mean, is T.Y. going to get it going, Rivers, or is this possibly a matchup that, he might be able to get some of those targets and get that connection going, or what do you guys think?
You think the volume would go to him, and just with the other options there, I mean, Zach Pascal is not better than T.Y., even if T.Y. is older. I think this is going to be a big week for T.Y., and probably T.Y. owners as well, like if they're ever going to start him again or not.
So if you are a T.Y. owner, are you starting T.Y. still? Do you still believe in the name value and the opportunity that's here now?
I think you have to ride on the hope of volume that's going to have to come his way. I mean, if they want to pass the ball, he's got to be the guy that they target. And if T.Y. can make the separation, get himself open to reel everything in, then the volume should pay off. It's just a matter if he can have that connection with Phillip Rivers, which just has been void this year. So that's where the concern lies, is can he and Phillip Rivers get it going? Because it's you have to get it done now. Otherwise,
when no one else is on the field to catch the ball,
if you
have
can't
to
get
catch the ball.
I mean, what, are they going to give it to Mo Alley Cox? Like he's been targeted quite a bit lately. I mean, I just don't know what other plays they're going to make. I mean, if they want to have a passing game going, they have to start rolling and getting T.Y. ready to go. So
who do you guys have in this game? Colts or Bears?
Colts.
I'm going to go Bears.
The Bears. I don't know what's gonna happen. That's why I asked you guys, so don't take my opinion. What do we got next, Stefen?
Well, no, I want to hit on these running backs real quick as well. We've had the Jonathan Taylor, Nyheim Hines experience now that Marlon Mack is out. Hines has been disappointing. Everybody thought that he had a big role in week 1, and they thought he might be fantasy relevant, but just hasn't been. And Jonathan Taylor didn't live up to expectations last week. Do you still have?
Well, we know why last week. 2 pick sixes. You're not on the field.
Sure, but I mean, if you have, let's say you have Nyheim Hines, are you still considering, possibly flexing him, or are you out on him until he shows that he's still a part of this offense?
I mean, maybe at the bottom of your bench if you got space, but a lot of people have probably dropped him by now because it's been very disappointing.
Yeah. And then lastly, what about this? Mo Alley Cox has been a relevant pickup if he played in the last 2 weeks. Is he still someone that you're considering as a possible tight end starter?
I mean, he did what he did last week with Jack Doyle on the field, and he had a decent week. He had a touchdown, right? Does that sound right?
Mhm.
I mean, I did see that he's one of the best after the catch tight ends, or probably just in the position in general, just because he's a giant monster man. Um, so I mean, if he keeps going with the touchdowns and he's just a great red zone target for Wild Phil, I mean, why not?
Fair enough. Well, let's jump into the next game. Ashton, I know this is the one you've been looking forward to. Really great matchup for your Washington football team. You have the Baltimore Ravens. They just got beat up last week, so maybe you have a sliver of hope here. Baltimore Ravens coming into Washington. Let's start with your outlook, Ashton. We'll start on the Washington side of the ball. Who is it on that side of the ball that you possibly even consider starting against this really good?
Can we get a
Baltimore
score prediction?
Jeez. Man, yeah, that would be a dream if we can just go and kick them when they're already down, right? But I have a feeling they're just gonna come out with some vengeance and regain their confidence here. On the offensive, I mean, I'm not starting Dwayne Haskins. I'm worried about. I have Terry McLaurin on my roster.
Are you ever starting Dwayne Haskins?
No.
If he plays the Jets, are you starting Dwayne Haskins?
No.
Okay.
Even
Okay,
Ron
good
Rivera
to-
said
sorry.
that Dwayne Haskins is probably not going to be the starter for much longer. So,
Time is running
Alex
out.
Smith. Here we go.
so, I mean, if I think it just falls on if I'm leaning on anyone to have a higher ceiling, it's going to be Terry McLaurin. Just in the case that Dwayne does get the ball out, Terry can make it happen. But I'm not excited about starting him. I'm starting him because I really don't have any other options. But it's going to be a rough game.
Are you intrigued at all by Antonio Gibson? He seems to be a little bit more a part of this offense now. Does he interest you at all yet?
I'd consider him as a flex play, depending on my other options. I have him on a couple of teams as well. I think I was able to fill in that spot with keeping him on the bench. But if you're in a position where, I mean, he hasn't been playing bad. Baltimore's run defense is a little concerning, but more concerning is our offensive line, who just doesn't make things happen as I would like them to. So, but Antonio Gibson has been performing well. So if you're in a pinch, you need a flex fill in, I think AG could probably do that for you.
What about you, Jacob? Are you interested in any of this Washington football team nonsense?
Oh wow! When you put it that way, so we're obviously looking at Terry as the number one there,
Right.
but he's a little banged up apparently, but we'll see. I'm sure he'll be just fine. He's been great. Antonio Gibson has been good. He's currently ranked the 32nd running back right now, so he's in RB3 territory. And Ashton said it. Their offensive line is just not good enough for him. But he's starting to. I think he's a great receiving option back there too, and that's where he's kind of getting some points and some touchdowns. And Logan Thomas, he keeps getting targets, but they're coming from Dwayne Haskins, so I don't care about them.
He is getting a lot of looks. It's just he's not making it happen. So,
Are you chasing the Dontrell Inman 2-touchdown game or no?
no.
I'll let Ashton answer that.
Good performance. Glad it happened, but I'm not chasing that.
Gotcha.
Keep an eye on him. Maybe some consistency would
He
roll
does it
out,
again.
but I'm not chasing that.
All right. What about on the Ravens side of the ball? It seems like all the fantasy options on the Ravens were very, very disappointing last week against the Chiefs. Or I guess it's technically this week. It was on Monday. But Lamar Jackson was disappointing. Ingram and Dobbins, Mark Andrews, Marquise Brownlee, they were all really let you down. I mean, are you still throwing them right back into your lineup against the Washington football team?
Yes.
This is a get right game.
Yeah,
They're gonna come out angry. They should all do well, but I think you're still you really don't know what to do with the running back room right now. But I think Ingram, if anyone's gonna fall up in that end zone. So I still believe I'm starting him this week in one league because I do not have a choice. But
literally 5 minutes
keep
ago,
telling
someone just dropped him in my standard fantasy league in Yahoo like 5 minutes ago. So I might go snag him. But I I don't know. Yeah, the Ravens backfield kind of makes me a little confused.
That's a little. But if they're blowing out the Washington football team by halftime, Dobbins is going to get his piece, and they're just going to say, Ingram, go hang out on the bench.
Yeah,
But,
but yeah, I mean, so it's matchup dependent too. I mean, it just makes me.
that's why it's so hard. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's not fun. But I think
I mean,
you can start pretty much everyone on the
if
Baltimore
you're good at predicting
team
the future and you want to pick up Ingram, who when he plays well, go for it.
Yeah, I think the big question is Marquise Brown, right? Like he had a pretty good week one, over 100 yards, but since then he's disappeared. Like if you have Marquise Brown, is he still a flex consideration for you, or are you looking
This
for
week?
different options?
Man,
I'd say this week.
I was so high on Marquise Brown going into the season, and I chased him in every league, and I got him in a couple, and I'm just so worried that I don't understand what's going on. And Mark Andrews didn't have a great game this past week either. So I'm hoping both of them bounce back this week against a weak.
I think it's a Lamar
Washington
Jackson
defense.
problem at this point. The passes are
That's
just
the way it's
not-
kind of looking.
I think they'll right the ship this week, and it's going to be just fine.
What do you think's going on with Lamar Jackson? I mean, should Lamar Jackson owners be concerned right now, or?
I think we talked a little bit about it Tuesday, but
yeah, we talked about it a little bit on Tuesday. I don't think I'm not worried about him at all.
I mean, I know we said we're starting him, but I mean, I'm just with these. I mean, he has a slew of talent surrounding him, and I went back and watched some film on that Chiefs game, and I'm just a little concerned with some of the decision making that was going on there. I think he might have just been in his head a little bit against that game, as much as he tried not to show it.
Yeah, it's a big game.
Yeah, so hopefully he has a bounce back game, and hopefully that offense gets it together and starts spreading the ball out more.
Yeah.
For sure.
I don't think you need to bench Marquise or Mark Andrews. I mean, Mark Andrews is a top 3 tight end. I mean, he has that ability.
He almost had that touchdown. He should have had it. It was right.
So
right
don't give up on these guys yet.
All right, let's jump into this next game. We have the New York Giants visiting the LA Rams and SoFi. Let's start on the Giants side of the ball. We got a little bit of clarity last week on the running back situation now. Now that we have Devonta Freeman there, we still got Deion Lewis and Wayne Gallman. Are any of those running backs y'all interested in?
I wouldn't start anyone on that team except for maybe Darius Slayton.
Not even Evan Ingram.
Have you seen Evan Ingram?
No.
But look, I mean, are you still chasing the talent with him? I mean, we're only,
I have never chased it, and I didn't start then, and I'm not starting now, okay? If he wants to – oh, gosh. Noah Fant was carted off.
Not good.
Sorry to hear that for you, Stefen.
He has 5 receptions, FYI.
He does?
Yep.
Hey-oh. Anyways, I wouldn't start anyone on the Giants side except for maybe Slayton. Like I said, I don't really – Ingram hasn't done anything to prove to me that he just hasn't looked good. So and I don't think anyone – I don't know if anyone's starting him right now, but I wouldn't because the Rams aren't a bad defense. I don't know if Slayton's going to get Ramsey'd or not, but
Ramsey'd.
Yeah.
Verb now.
Uh-huh.
All right, so we're saying avoid the Giants. What about the Rams side of the ball? Is this a possible Jared Goff week?
He was almost my start of the week.
Oh,
Same.
Almost.
Same.
Almost.
Well,
But I feel like they'll get up a bunch, and then he won't have to throw it at all, and they'll be running all over the place. But they're kind of like – but I don't know.
I think there's still a run first offense, but I think they're going to pick up the pass game this week. So he could have a good game. Woods and Kupp, I mean, what are they ranked? What's their current ranking and half point? Both of them.
Woods is definitely higher.
I'll give it to you. Kupp is the 19th ranked wide receiver, and Robert Woods is the 9th ranked wide receiver.
Yep.
That's nice.
So, I don't know. I mean, against this Giants backfield.
Yeah, you start them. You start them all. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a free for all. Everyone's gonna have a good time. Just don't start Malcolm Brown. Darrell Henderson seems to have taken over that role for a while here. So.
I agree. He's doing really well.
How about Higbeast? What's up with that guy?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're still playing, Higbee. You don't really have any doubts with him right now. I think this is a good matchup for him. If you drafted him, you drafted him to play him. So I think you're still playing him here, especially
But
in this matchup.
he's only the number 4 tight end on the year. So
Yeah, I mean, it's not bad. So you're taking that. You're taking that. Let's jump into the next matchup here. We have the New England Patriots versus the Kansas City Chiefs. This should be a good, exciting game. On the New England side of the ball, we saw a 3-touchdown performance from Rex Burkhead. Same kind of situation that we have with the Giants, where this is a big carousel of running backs. You have Sony Michel, Rex Burkhead, James White should be back. And then Damian Harris has been activated off of the IR and is practicing. He looked really good in training camp. They're impressed with him. Are you interested in starting any of these guys with that in mind?
I've chased the Rex Burkhead unicorn before, and it's burnt me. He comes off having some great games, and then pick him up the next week, and he only gets three carries for like 12 yards. And
it's the New England backfield.
The
man.
New England backfield is
I'd
so
avoid it.
unpredictable, and I mean,
James White but he just missed a week and a half. I can't predict how they're going to play each week. No, thank you.
Yeah, I try to avoid it if I can. I think starters on that are Cam and Julian Edelman. N'Keal Harry could be a streamer if you need him.
Yeah.
It looks like Cam's trying to get N'Keal Harry involved. He's been targeting him, but it seems like Edelman is really his go-to right now.
Yep.
On the Kansas City side of the ball, I mean, we always have high hopes for this Kansas City offense. You never said Mahomes. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he's been disappointing in the rush game, but has been a bigger part of the receiving game. Do you have any sort of doubts with Clyde Edwards-Helaire here? This is a really, really good New England defense.
Yeah, I mean they're trying to give him the ball on the goal line, and it's just he gets stuffed every single time. So it's very disappointing. But you're right, he is picking up a good workload on the pass game. And when he has an opportunity, he can march down the field pretty well. It's just he's not getting a lot of help from the offensive line either on creating some holes to try to get in the end zone when they're on the goal line. So I wouldn't lean too much on him being touchdown dependent, but if you have him in PPR or half point, I think he could still be a good play.
So I'm not really worried about him. If you look at who he's faced the number 4 and number 3 best run defenses in the league, and the Chargers and the Ravens in the past 2 weeks. So, I mean, he's just had tough matchups, and I mean, it's not going to get much better this week. But like you said, he's still got the receiving floor. So I'm not really worried about CEH.
You worried about any of the receiving options with Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce, maybe even
Watkins is sneaking up as a flex player for me.
Okay.
Mecole Hardman still just random bombs every now and again. I can't trust it, but it does seem to be happening more often than not.
On the year.
Yeah, I mean, how many receptions?
What does he have outside of the touchdowns though?
2 catches, 2 touchdowns. No, he has 7 receptions on the year. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty good numbers. No, I mean, look at Sammy Watkins. How many catches does he have? Now that you're just doing all my work for me.
That's a lot of research to catch me on the spot with.
I kind of like the setup though.
Catches.
We ask the questions and then he does the research on the spot.
You guys just talk. I'll sit here and give you your answers.
This is a great hosting setup. Maybe we should switch.
You're the best.
Are you sitting any options for Kansas City? I guess this is a tough matchup, so I'm sure people are considering it.
Do you think Hill is going to get Gilmored?
Possibly. I mean, he's been catching touchdowns is the only thing with Hill so far. He hasn't had like huge explosive yardage games, but he just continues to get in the end zone. So with that in mind, I mean, it's hard to sit someone who keeps finding.
No, I wouldn't sit him either. I was just throwing that out there. I mean, would you play Watkins? That's my question. If Hill is going to get Gilmored, would you play Watkins?
No,
and he probably has the most catches on the team. I'd guess.
In a better matchup, I think I would, but not this one.
Okay, fine.
This is just going to mean Sammy Watson. He's going to get 2 touchdowns against New
Oh,
England.
for sure.
All right, let's jump into the next game. We have the Buffalo Bills visiting Las Vegas to face the Raiders. Josh Allen has been on a tear. Do you expect any of that to change this week? Do you think, if John Brown is healthy, you still got Stephon Diggs, who's just been lights out. Are you playing Stephon Diggs and John Brown in this matchup?
Diggs
yeah.
for sure. Yeah, Diggs for sure.
John Brown coming back from an injury, but he's been pretty darn productive thus far. But if you look at it, Drew Brees and Cam Newton didn't do great against the Las Vegas Raiders. So you have to wonder if something's going on there. But, I mean, Josh Allen he's playing out of his mind. So, I think you can play all those players. I'm still avoiding that running back room. I know Devin Singletary had a good week with Zach Moss out, but it just hasn't been that great. But, I mean, at the same time, Kamara destroyed the Raiders, so that could be pretty fun. I don't know.
Cam didn't have Stephon Diggs either.
True.
If Moss misses another week, is Devin Singletary in your lineup?
Like this week?
Yeah. He's been a limited participant, Zach Moss, in practice.
Like a deeper flex consideration, I guess. I'm
not crazy about
week last week.
I'm not crazy about Buffalo's running back situation right now.
They used to be run heavy. Now they just stopped doing it. Now Frank Gore left.
Now they're Josh Allen heavy.
That's so true. That's all I need.
All right. On the Las Vegas side of the ball, obviously you're playing Josh Jacobs. I mean, this is a tough matchup with this Buffalo defense, but you're playing Josh Jacobs. Waller should be a great play this week with Ruggs and what's his face out of the game.
Brian Edwards.
Brian Edwards, yeah. And then so is Hunter Renfrow in play for y'all? I mean, this is a tough matchup against this Bills secondary. Is Renfrow someone that you consider as a flex?
I don't know, man. I mean, this is a tough defense, but this defense has also been giving up a surprising amount of points. I feel like to just most of their games so far. But I wouldn't enjoy starting Renfrow. It'd probably hurt a little bit, but I feel like he's got somewhat of a safer floor with everyone else out on their team.
Who would you rather start, Hunter Renfrow or Terry McLaurin?
Terry all day, baby. You just want me to support the Washington football team.
It just felt right for you to say that.
All right, let's jump into the next game. We have the winless Philadelphia Eagles facing off against the beat-up 49ers. I mean, it's hard to see Carson Wentz. I mean, it's not really hard for me being a Cowboys
It's kind of enjoyable.
But Carson Wentz is really, really struggling to start the season. I mean, you can blame it on he has 0 wide receivers to throw the ball to. He lost Dallas Goedert to the IR. So now you're left with Zach Ertz, possibly Alshon Jeffrey, and Miles Sanders. So
Greg Ward, dude. Greg Ward has stepped up, okay? So don't forget about him. Don't.
Greg Ward or Hunter Renfrow?
Oof. Why are you going to ask questions like that? I'd say Hunter Renfrow.
Okay.
How about you, Mr. Question?
If Alshon's not there, I'll go Greg Ward. If Alshon's there, I'll go Renfrow.
Thank you.
So on the Philly side of the ball, I mean, are you starting anyone outside of Sanders and Ertz?
Nope.
Possibly Greg Ward if Alshon's out. What on the San Francisco side? I mean, we got probably Nick Mullins under center this week. Probably no Raheem Mostert. McKinnon came in and had a decent game. Jeff Wilson. Brandon Ayuk was a big part of this offense. So, I mean, on the San Francisco side, who are you looking at?
George Kittle.
Yeah, Kittle coming back.
You don't want any other parts of this offense?
I'm interested by Brandon Ayuk, mainly in the fact that there's no one else there except for Kendrick Bourne. The running back room is kind of messy, and Philadelphia Eagles do have one good thing going for their team, and it is their run defense. And I don't think that's going to affect them because there's so many running backs, and they're just going to be mixing it up and passing it and stuff like that because they don't have anyone else to pass it to. But I don't know if you want. I mean, do you want to take a stab with the running backs? If Mostert's back, I mean, he's got. I mean, I'm assuming he's 100% healthy at that point, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm playing Jerick McKinnon if I have him. Like, he's a great receiving back. So if I have Jerick McKinnon, I think he's a good play.
How about my name is Jeff?
No, I mean, I think what we're saying in terms of this Philadelphia run defense, like Jeff Wilson's he's pretty one-dimensional. Like he can pound it in, on the goal line, but I don't expect a great game from him as a receiver. I don't expect him to break off some long runs. So I'm not too high on Jeff Wilson.
Okay.
I like Jerick McKinnon. I'm a little concerned with him being an every down back.
He's falling apart again.
Well, I mean that's just his history, and
he's good at it. I mean, why stop?
when he's healthy, he performs. And he has a lot of opportunity right now in San Francisco. I don't know. I think the matchup could benefit him against Philly. I think, like you said, Stefen, he's more dimensional. He's going to be good on the passing game as well. I almost picked up Ayuk on the waiver this week, but I think I bypassed him for some other players in 2 different leagues. But he was definitely on my watch. So if you picked him up, I think that's a position this week where you would want to start him against Philly for sure.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't want to rush this too much, but we gotta get going through these starts and sits as well. So let's jump through this Atlanta Green Bay matchup pretty quick. This is the Monday night matchup. A lot of big options on this in terms of fantasy.
A lot of big question marks as well.
Right. On the Atlanta side of the ball, if Julio and Russell Gage are healthy, I'm assuming you'd start Julio and Ridley and maybe flex Gage, or are you just not considering Gage if Julio is
probably
healthy?
bench him at that point.
Yeah, if Julio's in and he's good to go, I mean, you're starting Ridley and Julio over Gage. Okay. I mean, Gage has been performing, but I think if Julio's in, they're going to try to get him the ball. I mean, it's going to depend on coverage. I think the safe play for sure out of all 3 of those is going to be Calvin Ridley.
Gotcha. What about Todd Gurley? Do you think this is a Todd Gurley week? He found the end zone last week, had a decent game, 80 yards and a touchdown. Is Todd Gurley still someone you're playing?
Yeah, I'm not mad about Todd Gurley's performance so far. I mean, he's been doing pretty well against Green Bay. I think he's going to get the workload. If Atlanta's offensive line can open up some gaps and make it happen for him against Green Bay's run defense, then he should see some numbers. But it's a push and go, see how it goes kind of thing.
On the Green Bay side of the ball, obviously Aaron Jones, you're playing no problems. Devontae Adams, if he plays, you're playing. Lazard will be out. So, I mean, this Atlanta secondary has been just destroyed by every wide receiver they played. Is MBS in play for you guys this week? Are you considering Valdez Scantling?
Yes, and I'll dive more into that later.
Oh, very interesting. Jacob, yourself?
Yeah, I think you got to play him at that point.
All right. Well, that does it for our second half of matchups. Let's go ahead and jump into the starts of the week. As always, I'm excited to hear who you guys got. I think I took a glance at them, but I haven't heard your arguments or your reasoning for behind them. So let's jump into them. Ashton, I'll let you lead it off. Who was your quarterback start of the week?
This is kind of trailing off my sit of the week last week. I think I had Deshaun Watson. Look, he had a rough first 3 matchup situation in scheduling this year. I think it's going to get better throughout the season. He has a better matchup against a poor defense in the Minnesota Vikings. So they're in a position where it's kind of now or never. They have to approach each game with a must-win mindset, and it kind of is if they want to make the playoffs. So it's really tough in the NFL to go in 2-0, and they're unfortunately 3-0. So they have to start getting some wins in their organization here. With Fuller and Cooks it could be a situation where both of them make it happen. They have to have that connection with Deshaun Watson, and I think Deshaun's going to put up the numbers that he needs to with them more on a strategic versus a dramatic play scheme here. And what I mean by that is I think they're just going to play smart ball. I think they're going to march down the field strategically as opposed to getting those 3 and outs that they were kind of facing the past few weeks. So look for them to change up their gameplay a little bit. And I think the offensive line needs to step up and protect Deshaun Watson a little bit more. But if they can make that happen against a weaker defense here, it's going to work out for them.
Finally, Deshaun Watson gets a good matchup.
Yep.
Seriously.
Jacob, who do you got as your quarterback start of the week?
I have Ryan Fitzmagic, baby.
Wow.
Yeah, bringing the heat here. He is playing one of the worst defenses in the league right now against quarterbacks and wide receivers. And the shining star in the Seattle's defense, Jamal Adams, is most likely out this week. So just boost everything up. Devontae Parker, another week of getting healthy. I think it's going to be just a great time for those guys.
Very nice. Guys, I've been waiting for this week since the beginning of the season.
I'll be back in a minute.
My favorite quarterback to talk about. My quarterback start of the week is Aaron Rodgers. I mean, what is there not to say about the guy? He's been great to start the season. Currently, quarterback number 6, right on my path for our season-long bet to finish inside that top 12. No problem. And, guys, we've told you time and time again, this Atlanta secondary is not good. I mean, I'm going to tell you every week that they're terrible until they prove me otherwise. And with Devontae Adams expected to be back, Aaron Rodgers should just continue to dominate. All right, let's go into our running backs. Since I gave Ashton the last one, Jacob, you can go ahead and lead off. Who's your running back start of the week?
Thank you. I will be piggybacking off of Ashton's week matchup with David Johnson on the Texans side as well. I think he's going to have a delicious game. The Vikings, another defense that has not been doing well. He hasn't really had any good matchups either on the running side with the Steelers and the Ravens. As we've talked about, they have great run defenses. And Dookie Johnson, he may be back in the game, but if he is, he's probably going to be limited. He's still got a weak little baby ankle. So I think David Johnson's going to really excel here along with the whole Texans team.
Weak baby ankle will get to you.
You got to watch out.
Ashton, who you got as your running back start of the week?
Okay, I'm going with Kenyon Drake. Look, he's got a great matchup against the Panthers, who have allowed the second most fantasy points to running backs this season. They've also allowed the most touchdowns to running backs this season. So volume plus the opportunity and skill, I think, is going to create a good situation for Kenyon Drake this week.
Jacob took that ride last week with the Kenyon Drake start.
I didn't want to say it. I said, I hope he treats you better than he treated me.
Fingers crossed. He had 18 carries last week for 73 yards and no touchdowns. So I'm hoping he turns it around against weak Panthers.
Can't do it against the Panthers, man. It's going to be a tough ride.
Not good.
My running back start of the week is James Robinson versus the Bengals. I mean, he's came out of absolutely nowhere, right? I mean, he's the running back 5 on the season. Like,
he's a champ.
If I would have told you this random undrafted rookie who was 3rd on the depth chart to start the year for the Jaguars is going to be the running back 5 through week 3, you guys wouldn't believe me. You wouldn't even allow me to be on this podcast. But
I don't believe anything you say. But continue.
If you were lucky enough to grab him on the waiver wire, he has made you a very happy person. But look, continue to put your faith in him. He's given you game in and game out great performance. So the script for Jacksonville should be right up the alley for James Robinson to continue to thrive against the Cincinnati team. I expect a competitive game between the two. I don't expect Jacksonville to get blown out. So James Robinson should continue to see the ball throughout the game. So James Robinson is my running back start of the week. Let's jump into wide receivers. I'll lead us off since you guys have already started.
This is a rotation that we're doing now.
Rotation station. Here we go.
Very good.
Mine is it's tough to believe, but mine's Mike Evans versus the Chargers. I haven't been a believer in Mike Evans or Tom Brady all season, and I'm still not sure that I am rest of the season long. But Mike Evans just doesn't seem to get out of the end zone. Like, he just is scoring touchdown left, right, and center. Already has 4 touchdowns on the year. And this is a tough matchup with the Chargers, but with Chris Godwin out, I don't. Who else is he going to throw the ball to?
Gronk.
No. I
Come on,
stopped.
Ashton.
I stopped believing in Gronk a long time
I'm
ago.
hoping Gronk gets a touchdown this week.
Hey, Gronk was involved last week.
He did. I think he
Six
had like
catches. He
yeah.
almost had a touchdown, but Tom Brady, stupid head, threw it over him.
I believe in Mike Evans a little bit more than I believe in Gronk at this point. So I expect this bond with Evans and Tom Brady to continue to grow with Chris Godwin out. So expect that yardage.
And Scotty Miller's hurt too, right?
Yeah, Scotty Miller could
He's
possibly
not
miss
feeling
this
good.
game. So all signs point to Mike Evans. Who wants to take second with the wide receiver start of the week?
Oh, I got it. I got this one. I got it. I got a cool.
Okay.
This is called the Seattle Attack Double Stack.
The double stack
Devontae
attack.
Parker coming in hot with Fitzmagic. They're going off. He's gonna be a wide receiver one, maybe top 5. I don't know, but
Who knows?
it's gonna be good for me because I had Devontae Parker in like 3 or 4 leagues. So just get ready for the Seattle Attack Double Stack.
Start of the week is bold, but you're saying top 5, which is we're gonna hold you to it next week on Tuesday. If he's not top 5, you'll hear about it.
Oh boy.
Ashton, who's your start of the week?
He's gonna edit the video now.
It's the top 50. That's what I said.
I briefly went over this, but it's Marquise Valdez-Scantling. Look, facing the Atlanta Falcons defense, which frankly is just not good this year. They've allowed the 3rd most fantasy points to wide receivers this season, and with Adams questionable, we say he's questionable. He's more than likely going to play, but Lazard's now out due to injury for an undetermined amount of time. I think MVS, his target's going to go up and his opportunity is going to increase for sure. So I have definitely picked up MVS in a couple of my leagues and hoping that pays off. So I look for Aaron Rodgers to be targeting him quite a bit moving forward.
Very nice. All right, right back at you, Ashton. Tight end start of the week. Who you got?
TJ Hawkinson against the Saints.
Very nice.
Saints defense is struggling against tight ends right now. They've allowed the most points to tight ends this year. And Noah Fant is the only other tight end that has a higher passing rating when targeted, just above TJ Hawkinson.
Wow.
So TJ Hawkinson's looking pretty good. Yeah, so if you got him, he's worth a start for sure.
I like that. I'm going with a homer pick for my tight end,
Ooh.
Dalton Schultz. This is another just great matchup for Dalton Schultz. He's come out of nowhere. Blake Jarwin, who is that anymore? We don't even care anymore because Dalton Schultz has just been so good. He's been getting targets all over the place. Dak trusts him, and the Browns are just not very good against the tight ends. We saw it with the Bengals. I guess it doesn't really count with the Washington football team, but they do not do well against tight ends, and Dalton Schultz is going to get it done.
My tight end start of the week is Mike Gesicki versus that Seattle secondary that we've talked about.
This is
Seattle-
the triple stack.
Yeah,
That's the triple stack.
We want all of that Miami offense. Yeah, I mean, Seattle's another team whose pass coverages. I mean, they've looked awful. I mean, I think we all expect Seattle to get up big on Miami, so Miami's going to be fighting back, and hopefully, if Jacob is correct, we should see some Fitz magic this weekend. So I think Mike Gesicki is going to be, continued weapon in the red zone. He's scoring touchdowns. He's having big yardage games. So this should be a good Mike Gesicki week. A little bit more of a disappointing note. Let's talk about the sits of the week. I don't know if you can cue the violin or what it takes, but we'll start with our quarterback sits of the week. Jacob, go ahead and lead us off here.
Justin Herbert. Sorry,
Herbert's
buddy.
Herbert.
Yeah, exactly. But it's freezer burnt and tastes awful, and you don't want that sherbet ice cream. Okay,
Okay.
it's not good. He's still making a lot of rookie mistakes. He hasn't looked awful. Been able to run a little bit, but he's going to run into the Tampa Bay defense that has been pretty solid. So I'm expecting him to be sitting on the pine.
Ashton, yourself. Who's your sit of the week?
Phillip Rivers facing a Bears
Oh.
defense. Facing a Bears defense that is pretty good. So, look, Phillip hasn't been too great this year. I think he only has what was it? 2 games where he's had
been
more
bad.
than 15 points. Oh, hasn't. Yeah, he hasn't had one. He's only had one game that's had more than 15 points. So Bears defense has allowed just an average of 11.7 fantasy points to QBs this season. I'm not interested in picking up Phillip Rivers. I wasn't high on him going into the season. He's proven me right. Like we said before, he hasn't had that connection yet with T.Y. Hilton. And until that starts to get better, he's not worth a start. You're going to be sitting him.
Mine is a little bit bigger of a shocker than y'all's. I mean, you guys took some pretty easy ones here. Mine is
Oh wow.
Whoa.
Okay. Let's see what you got. Let's bring it, bro.
mine is a Cam Newton versus that Kansas City Chiefs defense. I mean, look, they just shut
After
down.
what they did to Lamar Jackson, is that really just like, oh, that's just this is spicy? Is that what that is?
Well, I mean, Cam Newton threw.
I can't
2
wait to
weeks.
check back on this one next week. Okay.
Everybody wanted to start Cam. Everybody wanted to piece Cam. But look, Kansas City's defense, like I don't know if it's their defenses that's really good or if it's just a high pressure situation of facing Kansas City. Like it seems like everybody's going in there like this is the best team in the NFL. All the pressure's on them, and they just haven't been able to live up to the hype. And Cam hasn't done enough to prove that he can still get it done through the air for me to really get my trust at this point. I expect Andy Reid to game plan around Cam as a runner and expect them to try to make him beat them through the air. So I think this is going to be a down Cam week. Next up, we're talking sits of the week at the running back position. Ashton, go ahead and lead us off here.
We've got Devontae Freeman, still learning the playbook. Joe Judge said that just
really
wait.
taking some wild calls here, huh?
Just wait. Joe Judge said he's still learning the playbook, but his volume should increase moving forward. He's averaging. The Rams have allowed only an average of 4.8 yards per carry to running backs this season so far, but he's played fewer snaps than Deion Lewis and Wayne Collum. So I just don't trust the Giants' backfield right now. I mean, they were struggling even with Saquon Barkley back there. So yeah, Saquads. So look, NFC East is just a mess, and New York Giants running back situation doesn't help anything in the situation with a good matchup against the Rams. So look for the Rams to just kind of dominate all over, and don't rely on Devontae Freeman moving forward this week.
Yeah, Freeman's actually owned in almost 60% of leagues. So
yeah, 60% of the desperate running back searching teams that are
the Saquon owners
looking for. Yeah,
I picked up Devontae Freeman.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
And are you starting him?
No.
Yeah. Thank you.
But that's because Ashton told you not to. He told you that before this, and
I just took him out of my lineup all year.
Yeah. So I'm gonna stay with the NFC least, and I've got Antonio Gibson, someone that you've kind of been able to lean on a bit. He's playing the Ravens. The Ravens have pretty much shut down everybody that's tried to run against them. So I am sitting Antonio Gibson this week.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Big mistake.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with NFC.
I'm actually starting him in one of my leagues, but
I'm gonna stick
onward.
Stick with the NFC East as well and say Ezekiel Elliott. No, I'm just kidding. I would never. I would never ever sit him.
Thank you.
Now my set of the week is Joshua Kelly against that Tampa Bay defense. I feel like all of our sets of the week so far have been against the running back against Tampa Bay. One of us has to pick them. But Tampa Bay has faced some really tough running backs so far, and they've still been very, very good. They faced Alvin Kamara, Christian McCaffrey, and Melvin Gordon already. And they've contained them as rushers, but they've been beat by running backs is through the air. And obviously,
Josh
Austin
Kelly
Eckler
doesn't do the air.
Right. Austin Eckler has that role. So I don't expect much of Joshua Kelly this week. He's been good for you so far, but I think this is a week you put him on your bench. You continue to hold him. He'll have better days ahead, but this is not a Joshua Kelly week for me. We'll go right into the wide receiver sets of the week. And this is going to let down Jacob a little bit, but mine is Allen Robinson versus the Colts. I'm taking a little bit more bolder takes than you guys are. You guys seem to take the easy ones, the low hanging
Oh wow,
fruit.
yeah, because Joshua Kelly was a tough one.
Here we go. Here we
The
go.
best
Joshua
rush
Kelly's
defense.
a startable option.
How was he last week, Stefen?
Well, Allen Robinson was very good last week, and I'm telling you that he's going to be my sit of the week. So
That's messed up, dude.
suck on that. Allen Robinson is going against the number 1 ranked cornerback according to Pro Football Focus and Xavier Rhodes. We've already talked about it so far, but this Indianapolis defense has looked super, super good. Had 2 pick sixes last week. And now you got Nick Foles under center. I mean, we agree that Nick Foles is probably an upgrade from Mitch, but I mean, it's still Nick Foles. So it's he's not a great quarterback. So I'm expecting there to be a little bit of growing pains. He's going to have to shake off some rust, and this isn't the matchup you want to do it against. I expect to see some of the Allen Robinson we saw to start the year in week 1 and week 2, not the one we saw last week.
Jacob, how do you feel about that prediction? Do you
I
think
don't
that
like
was
it. I'm about to
bold
make
prediction?
I want to make a bet. I'm about
I
to
thought you were going to leave the
guarantee.
show mid
I'm
conversation.
about to make a bet.
Make the bet then, bud.
I will guarantee Allen Robinson has a touchdown this week.
Well, I mean, okay, that's not a real bet. I mean, I'll
And
make
10 points.
I'll say, what about top 15? Is he a top 15 wide receiver this week?
Wait, let me calculate in my head. Yes, he is. Okay.
I'll do you one better. He's not a top 20 wide receiver this week.
Thank you. Thank you for making me feel better.
There we go. Go ahead and put it down. I say he's not a top 20 wide receiver. You do say he's a top 20 wide
He
receiver.
is. I'm telling you. I'm guaranteeing.
And
It's a guarantee. It's 100%
PPR.
guarantee.
Half point
Ashton,
PPR.
Ashton, what's the punishment, or what does the loser have to do? On the fly. Give it to me.
Oh, Chick-fil-A.
Oh, wow.
For Ashton. Okay.
Big Chick-fil-A order for
Jacob.
me. No matter what happens, I want a spicy.
If you lose, you have to buy Ashton.
I want a
Chick-fil-A.
number 2.
I like it. I
Well, I have to go
like it.
back. I remember we made a wings bet last week. I forgot what it was. So I have to go back and look at that from last episode.
We did. Yeah, go look that
I'll have
up.
to recollect.
Y'all
what it
did.
was.
I wasn't part of it, or was I part of it?
You were going to order us wings.
I thought I was going to eat them. I was in Ashton's seat.
Yeah, now I get to
Whatever,
eat the Chick-fil-A.
Okay, that's
All right,
fair.
moving forward. Is it my turn?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where are we? Oh, after Mr.
What day is it?
after spicy chicken sandwich there.
DJ Moore is my sit of the week
There we
against
go. Now you're
Arizona
taking
Cardinals.
bold calls.
Okay. Well, Mr. Allen Robinson against the Colts. Okay, cool. Moore has only one game with this season with more than 10 points and half-point PPR. So Moore was only targeted 4 times in week 3. Look, that's just unacceptable. I mean, I don't care what the matchup is. You take your top performing, your top, built athlete in that offensive situation. You can't get him the ball more than 4 times.
It's not good enough.
Look, and I really like Moore, but like I said before, there needs to be more shown to me before I'm considering starting TJ. Cards have allowed the fewest points to wide receivers this season. He has a tough matchup.
So you think he will be DJ less this week?
Yes, DJ less.
Snore.
Yeah, DJ Snore. Yeah.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Very good. So mine isn't super spicy, but it could be because people were very active on the waiver wire to get this guy. It is Justin Jefferson. I think what we're going to see here is that everyone ran to get this guy. He had a booming week, but I don't think you need to go drop the guy. I just don't think that this is the time to throw him on in there. And it's nothing against him. You know, he seems like a pretty decent guy. You know, he has some
nice
good
guy.
draft capital. He's kind of a sweetheart. But the Texans' defense has actually been pretty decent against wide receivers. So, like I said, he's a sweetheart. Just give him some time, okay? He's got to grow up and be a man.
Fair enough. Let's jump right back into the tight end sits of the week then. I'll let you continue on with your discussion, Jacob. Who's your tight end sit of the week?
This one's kind of spicy. I mean,
We'll see. I'll be the judge.
I would say this is like approaching medium.
Is this your boldest
wing
one?
sauce?
Okay.
And it's Hunter Henry.
Well, that's decent.
And so I just would have did another double stack here with Justin Herbert. I
You
don't
like the
think
double
he's going to
stacks?
do well. I think what'd you say?
Said you like the double stacks.
Yeah, I mean, Burger King makes a good burger. I'm not going to say that they don't, but it kind of goes along the same lines. I think the Saints defense is going to really get in Herbert's face, and Hunter Henry is just not going to have a good week. That's just it. I mean, it's the double stack that you don't want. It's the whack double stack.
Fair enough. Ashton,
Thank you.
tight end set of the week. Who you got?
Zach Ertz,
Ooh, or squirts.
currently ranked 13th tight end in half point. Look, he scored fewer than 11 points in 2 of his first 3 games this season. He's facing the 49ers defense that's allowed the fewest fantasy points to tight ends this season so far and the fewest receptions to tight ends. He's got a tough matchup, and that's even with a banged-up 49ers team going on. So I think he's going to have a rough go.
Ashton, who else is he supposed to throw the ball to? All right. Somebody has to catch the ball.
No, they don't.
Nobody's catching it.
No one's going to catch a ball
Zero
this game.
passing yards.
In fact,
Carson Wentz.
Carson Wentz is probably going to get hurt and taken out of the game. Their offensive line's messed up. It's going to be a rough go.
So you're telling me Zach
Ashton is
Ertz
approaching ghost pepper spiciness this week with
will
his
score 0 points.
Yeah, I think they'll actually
Oh
take
my
points,
gosh.
the points that they have earned in other games, and take them away too. They're going to be that reduced. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I'm
gotcha.
loving these takes.
Negative
What do you-
yardage.
What do you got, Stefen?
I got Mo Alley Cox. He's been really good the last 2 weeks. He's been one of those guys that you picked up on the waiver wire, and he's provided. It's been a fun ride. But Jack Doyle is back. He was back last week, but I think he's finally healthy. And we know that Phillip Rivers, he loves to throw the ball to his tight ends. And I think
More like Cox.
Jack Doyle is he's a trusted part of this offense compared to Mo Alley Cox, who has had 2 good games. So I don't know what Mo's role is going to be in this offense with Jack Doyle integrating himself back in and being healthy. So until I can see what that role is, I don't have trust to put him in my lineup. So Mo Alley Cox will be my sit of the week. All right, guys. Well, that wraps it up for our Friday show for week 4. We will be back next Tuesday. Enjoy these week 4 matchups. As we said, make sure to check us out on all of our socials, Facebook, Instagram, the Twitter. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. If you have any questions about your lineups, make sure to send them in. But that will do it, guys. If you guys don't have anything else, we can say goodbye.